how to begin to summarize the life of an Israeli leader who has been a leader since before the State of Israel was founded, way before the State of Israel was founded. So I'm just going to say that former president of Israel, former prime minister of Israel, former minister in various governments, one of the founders of the State of Israel, we need to say that as well, the founder of the nuclear project, and I think equally important, one of the founders of Israel Technology, an Israeli startup nation, which is, as you know, highly important. With us today is a leader that always knew how to find the technology first, how to be first on things, how to develop the technology. He was, for example, the first, I think, prime minister with a website, which was revolutionary at the time. And this is the little thing, and the little things, and you go on to more important things, such as the nuclear project, which is also technology. And that is exactly what we want to talk about today, about the meeting point between leadership and technology, and the meeting point between Mr. Peres and technology. And that is why I want to, with great honor, welcome you, Mr. Shimon Peres. Good morning.
Good morning.
So how do you find the technology first? How you spot it, how you recognize it and develop it to your use?
Well, I wonder why other people didn't find it. Look, what happens is not technology. What happened is a technology that has changed the world. There were more or less two ages in the last 10,000 years. The age of the land and the age of the science. Those are totally two different ways of life, two different philosophies. Land is complicated because it depends very much upon nature, and the farmers are usually in a demanding situation. There is no rain, there is no market, they have to be subsidized, and also you have to defend the land, or extend the land. So you need armies, you go to war, and you need administrations that will support the armies. It's one way. Then came in what you call the science or technology. It's a totally different world. But why? First of all, science cannot be conquered. Army cannot conquer a science. So you don't need wars, you don't need armies, in fact. Secondly, science doesn't have borders. You can move wherever you want. Science doesn't have flags. Science doesn't take orders. Science changed some of our major assumptions. Like, for example, you cannot be global. Science makes you global. You cannot be global and racist. Over. You cannot be global and nationalistic. You cannot be global and use power. Now let's have a look. The government is being run by administration, by a bureaucracy, by a judiciary, by a police, by an army. It costs a lot of money. Globality has nothing of it at all. Globality is based on goodwill. I mean, actually, globality doesn't have a global government. You have global companies without a global government, and they affect more nations than the other way around.
But there are people from the old world, and they confront you. They say, no, we need tanks. You don't invest in technology because you can't forget the old technology. How do you confront them? What do you say to them?
Well, I think, unfortunately, the old age is on their way out, and the young age is on their way in. And the first suggestion I would recommend to a leader, or whoever wants to become a leader, is to forget the past. What for? What do you need it for? It's an ongoing mistake. Go straight to the future. You need a new dictionary. And you need new rules. Don't spend time on what happened. What do you need it for? Concentrate instead of administration, or shall I say, instead of remembering, better dream, better have a vision, don't repeat.
But are there any points that you yourself understand that you have a problem with the vision, that maybe the vision is not what you meant and you need to U-turn and start over again?
Yes, I found the vision I have had was always too small. And I found out that the reality that followed the vision was by far more larger. And one of my conclusions, dream greater, dream large. Don't be so small, so tiny.
But was there any one time that you gave up on a dream? You said, this is a dream that I won't see?
Well, look, I was criticized at the beginning. One of the reasons is that people prefer to remember rather than to change or think. Remembering is comfortable. You know the place, you know the windows, you know the electricity. What's going to happen worries you. It's a change. Now, I have had my experience. I was 50 or 60 years in the government in different posts, from the highest prime minister to, say, a director general. And I think, on what did I spend most of my time when I was in the government? You know, on what? Handling frictions. Ministers didn't agree with ministers. Parties didn't agree with parties. Groups wouldn't agree with anybody. In the parliament, there was always division. The press killed the leaders. The level of politicians went down. Then one day I became a president. It sounds high, but a president doesn't have an administration. A president doesn't have an administration, so he doesn't have frictions. So what can you do? And I found the simple answer. The simple answer is, people don't like to take orders. There are people who like to give orders. And on the other hand, the very same people who wouldn't take orders from me, the minute I asked them to volunteer, why not? As they refused laws, they came to volunteer. And I found out, as a president without administration, I could do more things than a prime minister with administration and the police and an army and all this and that. I see here the good friend, the British ambassador to Israel. We were under the British mandate, and the High Commissioner of Great Britain in Israel used to sign his letters, "You obedient servant." One day, Israeli wrote him a letter, "My dear obedient servant." Now look, if you want to be a leader, be you the obedient servant of the people. Today, leadership is not ruling, but serving.
And when you look at leaders today, without any names, yes, but what common mistakes you see them do?
The common mistake is they don't see that the world has changed. Our real problem is the world has changed, and our mind is slow to understand it. That's the greatest mistake. Because if you will do it, you will find unbelievable potential. Usually, I mean, what I learned in my life is that each of you, I agree, I assure you, you have more potential than you think, more potential than your mothers and fathers think, more potential than the teachers tell you. You have to learn to employ the most of what you have. And for that reason, what I would recommend to each of you, if you want to be great, serve great things. Don't be a great servant, be a servant of great things. That's the rule. And you'll be surprised how much you can contribute, and you'll be surprised how it makes life meaningful. And I think there are some changes that we have to introduce in the concept of democracy. I would mention two of them. Democracy, he says that every person has an equal right. Today, democracy should be said that every person has the equal right to be different. A recognition of differences is today part of democracy. The second point, democracy offers you free expression. I don't know what is free expression. Is each of you will take a trumpet or a microphone and going to make speeches? I don't see you doing it. I think today democracy is not just free expression, but self-expression. You have inclinations, you have preferences. Go ahead, develop it. And don't let anybody to stop you. And I know the young generation, what they feel about their parents, because I'm a parent. They say, how nice of you to bring us to life. But stop nudging us about your great achievements in the past. What sort of world did you hand us over? Full of hatred, of suspicion, of wars. We want another world.
So you know what?
Let us alone.
I think a lot of people talk to you about the past, but let's talk about the future. How do you see the future with technology, how it will change in the future, and I mean 100 years to come?
I say that there will be 3 governments in the world. I think national governments will remain, but they will be limited to domestic affairs only. They will be in charge of the husband of the state without any real influence.
So who will run the global affairs?
Then there will be a second group, global companies based upon norms, not upon government. And they will take the risk and they will introduce the innovations. But then we have individual people. And many of them, or some of them are sick, or sadists, or extremists, and they take rifles and they shoot. Now, we have to fight the terror, and we can fight. We should fight not just by shooting at a terrorist, but by bringing an end to the reason that creates terrorism. You know, if you have mosquitoes, don't try to kill every mosquito individually. Try to dry the swamp, because it comes from hunger, from dissatisfaction, from lack of hope. So handle that.
So let's talk about the greatest technology, as you mentioned, our body and our brain. And I must ask you that. Regarding your diet.
My diet?
What keeps you going, and I talk to you people, from the early morning until the late evening without...
You want me to give the whole menu and everything, or...?
Can you write it down for me? I think I'll be a millionaire.
No, I shall give you you write it down. The first thing I suggest is start your day by having a small glass of natural lemon.
Lemon?
Yes, without sugar, without tea. That prepares your body for the day. The second is try to eat at a given time. Don't change, because then your body gets used how to handle the food on time. But on top of it, you can have every diet you want. I suggest buy a scale and weigh yourself every morning. I decided I want that my weight will be 72 kilo, which is my weight. I go on the scale every morning, 72 and a half, I stop eating until I get rid of the half kilo. And then I would say, look, we know that you have to eat 3 times a day. You eat 3 times a day, you get fat. I recommend read 3 times a day. You'll become wise. Better be wise than fat.
And how do you practice your brain?
By using it.
And if we talked about the day, let's talk about the way you manage your day and you manage your goals. Someone like you must have goals.
Usually, that I shall say in a smiling way, in the evening, I make for myself a list of the mistakes I did during the day, and for the insults I show to some people. And I make a list and I look for an opportunity to correct it. When I wake up in the morning, I make a list of all the dreams I have had and remember to implement them. If you want to be young, the simple thing to be young is compare the number of your achievements with the number of your dreams. If you have more dreams than achievements, you are young. If you have more achievements than dreams, you are old. So all the time I'm thinking, dreaming. I'm not afraid, and I have some strategies to protect myself because people are criticizing me, even laughing at me. So in order to keep my morale, I decided that I shall be the person who decides who insults me. I'm not free for all. So I don't take it seriously. I mean, go ahead. I don't have to do it.
Tell me about you start mentioning the dreams, one dream that you still have, that you dreamt recently maybe, and you think that it can be a goal for the future?
Well, for example, the nanotechnology. I read about the nanotechnology, and when I say read. And
you dreamt about it at night, about small robots and...
Yes, I read with great letters. You don't have to have small letters. I read several books about it and says, my God, that's a new dimension. Let's bring it in. So I started to talk to people that this is the future. And people, at the beginning, they were laughing, doubting, then they got used to it. And we made a campaign, and we collected $500 million for the development of the nanotechnology. Now, the way I handle contribution, if I'm the person who collects the contributions, I never distribute it. So people will not think that you translate it into a power. So we give it to the academy, and the academy is free to give to whoever they want. They don't have to give us any report. We don't involve. They can give it to a university, to a person, let them judge. The result is, started 10 years ago, every dollar we invested is today producing $50 and become a great industry. That's one example.
Or maybe we have young leaders watching us and you sort of told them what to do. Now try to tell them very shortly what not to do. What is the most important things that one needs not to do?
Never fall victim to your ego. The smallest thing in life is ego. The greatest thing in life is to serve other people. And you are always great as the cause you serve. So don't look at the small ego, look at the great cause. The great cause may be fighting illness, fighting poverty, fighting ignorance, helping people who need help. And then, at the end of the day, you are more satisfied by what you gave, what you contributed, but then by what you collected. Suppose I should have a lot of money. Once I shall die, it's nothing. I'll die, it's nothing. Suppose I shall have a lot of prestige. Okay, it will die with me. But if you do things for others, it will continue to live, not in my body. But in my generation or following generation, two things I suggest. First of all, take yourself more seriously. I don't suggest you become monks. Go ahead, dance and drink, everything. But don't waste your time just on pleasures. Have pleasures. But take yourself seriously. What I said doesn't come from heaven. You have to work hard to learn, to invest, to keep your curiosity, to listen. And then I came to another conclusion, which is true. I don't take vacations. I don't know why people are taking vacations. You know, I think that working
and your staff doesn't take vacations as well. I see you nodding like this. Yeah.
I think working is a greater pleasure than vacationing. I see people sitting on the beach with a dog. I don't know what happens to the sea, what happens to the dog, what happens to you. So I prefer to take a good book without a dog, without a sea, and try to learn and try to think. And each of you can do it.
Mr. Peres, thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much.